But
I feel like I belong in the 80s.
yeah. So my mom did my. We're just gonna keep it rolling. We'll find an intro somewhere else.
You know where you are. You know what this is. Welcome to the podcast.
Just off the mics a little earlier, we were talking about what we're talking about now. So listen in.
Right.
But essentially, I was just saying, fourth grade, I didn't do this one project, and my mom had to do it for me. And I kind of want to reread the book, and then I'm not gonna do the project again because I don't even remember what it was about.
Bro, I feel like the project we just read this and then just draw.
We had to make models.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I remember
those stupid shoebox ones too, where you'd have to design out what you thought it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for that one, I don't remember all of the details. I just remember I had to draw the wolf itself, right, for the Jack London book, the Call of the Wild. I had to draw the wolf, and then I had to do some here's some plot points for it, or some bullshit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do it. My mom did it for me. She got an A.
Fucking dope.
Fucking. That's where I got my procrastination skills from, dude. She was like, it was literally the night before, and she was like, "You little shit."
They were like, "I'm not gonna let my son fail."
Anything that to do with drawing, my mom do because I can't draw some shit.
But she was cause she's an HR person, right? So her typing was just off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
For me in fourth grade, I was just like, do,
Right.
and she was just like, let's go. This is.
You just say it, you just type.
No, she did this all herself. I was just I was literally a
She
spectator.
have to dumb it down, right? So it sounds like you.
Listen, you
I don't know
got
what
an
she
A.
did,
It
dude.
doesn't
I
matter
don't know what
what
she did. She
said.
figured it out for me. It was one of those things.
How do I sound like my kid?
I think the only time my mother actually ever had to do a project for me was actually in college.
Oh, see, but that you can get away with that way easier, though.
No, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. She only did it because I was struggling in this English class and I couldn't get more than a D on any of my papers. So my mom was like, you know what?
These all the same, right?
Yeah,
Buttered bagels.
yeah.
Yeah, no, because there's one more side.
One might be cream cheese.
Buttered bagels.
One of them might be cream cheese.
One of them. But then she goes, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna write this paper, and I'm gonna see what grade I get on this. And my teacher gave her a C-.
Fuck. Fuck your teacher.
My teacher, he was one of those asshole teachers who's just like, he's a hard ass and he grades hard the whole time. And then at the end of the class goes, I think there's a lot of potential here. And if you just come back next semester, we can really foster that potential. I was like, fuck this.
The same shit that happened in your other class when Slava was like, man, let me just do this shit. And then he did it, and the professor was like, no, you didn't do it the way I
Yeah. The physics class. Yeah, no.
It's all ego, dude. I feel like for Ego's classes, it's all subjective. As long as you get the formatting down and your thought is thoroughly presented, you can't really fault people on thought process, on critical thinking.
Yeah.
had a teacher that was mainly if you didn't answer the prompt, you wouldn't get a good score. And if you just wrote a fuck ton of fluff, you wouldn't get a good score. I think that's pretty reasonable. Answer the prompt and be concise.
You know what used to really fuck me in English was how we learned how to write essays. Because when we did, I don't know if you guys did. Oh, I was gonna say we had it was all color coded, but they gave us examples to the point where it was just fill in the last part. There are
it's don't think it all. Remember this one.
Yeah,
word.
it's copy and paste most of it, and then put this. And that fucked me because I'd used that same formatting in high school, and then I finally broke out of it in college. But my high school writing was the worst because it just looked very robotic.
Yeah.
Where they did the green highlight for the intro.
Yeah, intro, and then your little lead in, explanations.
Yeah.
I still have that guideline in my head, but I don't have any form of oh, here are my examples. No, I don't have any of that shit anymore. Because when I did that, my writing was garbage.
Yeah.
Once I got into a free flow, and that was that started off in college, dude. My writing for me was just so much better. It was miles ahead of what I was.
No,
What's that?
100%. My only problem with writing in papers now is that I don't indent when a new paragraph
the first
starts.
paragraph.
So
yeah.
when I finish something, I just hit enter,
and then you just go off.
But the thing I had just written could be 3 pages or a 2 pages.
And
It's just one block. Like, it's not little paragraphs that are like,
yeah.
this is how you should read it. Nah. But now I'm like getting better at it. But like,
So I might read that book again, and like, I'm not gonna do a fucking report on it, but I want to at least complete that book because that was one thing I like. Before you even got here, we were talking about like high school and like how shitty like the school system was. And for me, it was never a problem. I probably could have gotten like a 4.0 if I fucking put if I put all my manpower to it, and if I was really engaged the whole way through, and I wasn't.
I don't understand like how some teachers like younger ages are like, oh, this kid's stupid. Like, are you sure the kid's stupid, or are you just like?
Are you just not accessing their best potential, right?
I'm like, it can't be that hard to learn some of this shit. It's not that hard.
dude, no,
That's what I learned when I was a math tutor, man. Go ahead.
I lost it. Not lost it, but like, so this week when I was taking my physics lab, I went to my teacher and I leaned in and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, why?" I was all like, "This class is too easy." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, when I was over at the Anzo, right, and you took a lab, they were all like, okay, lab report, you have to get it done in the 3 hours you're here. If it's not done by the time you leave class today, right, whatever you have in your notebook is what you submit. So if you have an incomplete lab report, that's on you. Second off, your lab report has to be 4 pages organized in this very specific way, answering these really just dumb ass, like asking for all the data and everything. Like my teacher this week went, yeah, so we have, so like I fell behind on the grading. So basically if you turned in your labs after spring break, you got 100% in the lab.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, you just get 100% in the lab. Oh, and we usually drop the lowest 2 labs, but since we had an additional lab this year, we just decided we're going to drop the lowest 3. So if you're only missing 1 lab, you don't have to show up today. You don't have to show up next week.
But see how dumb that is, though. Like, because the whole thing is to get the actual experience behind it, right?
Right. Yeah.
The fact that you're like, nah, like let's all be lazy, like
no. But the thing is, sorry.
Well, I don't understand too. Is teachers are like, I fell behind on grading. Like, bro, you have the schedule. You know how many fucking students you're gonna have. How do you fall behind on grading?
So the issue with this class was, and it wasn't like he was being lazy. He had his goal in mind, and he achieved his goal. His goal was like, this is an introductory level physics course, okay? Most of you aren't even physics majors. You just need to know what this machinery is, and if put in front of you, you could use it. That's what I want you to get out of this, right? Because we're just learning circuits and stuff like that. We're not actually like, we're just learning how to measure circuits and like resistors and stuff like that. That's all we were learning. So he was like, I'm not trying to be a hard ass on you guys and say, where's your data? Where's your charts? You know, where's your graphs and everything like that? I'm just trying to make sure you know how to use the equipment. Obviously, you know how to do this math. The math isn't hard, right? Like circuits and stuff, it looks really, it gets to be really intimidating because it's a really broad topic that has all these specific equations for different things. But ultimately, he's like, you come into class, you literally only need to know like 2-3 equations a class, right?
Well, that's
do
fair.
Those equations, do that math, show us that you have the critical thinking capable, right? Because it's not like we're just showing up and saying, he's not doing the lab in front of us and we're just copying him. He's like, here's a printout of the lab. That's your equipment in front of you. Do your lab. Answer the 6 questions at the bottom of it. Put it on paper, type it out, whatever. Just submit it by like Friday. And then it was like, oh, wow. So like I kind of just lost it because when I was over at the end, I thought it was so stupid. I was like, how am I supposed to make it as a college student if I can't even handle this dumbass junior college? And then I realized that dumbass junior college is just trying to fuck my ass.
Honestly, though, dude, for me, junior colleges that all the JCs and community colleges I've been to have been more rigorous than university.
Yeah, no, that's what
But I've loved that because, like, when I got into university, I just realized I was just being lazy, you know? Because I didn't do well in university. So for me, in that sense, like, I was crushing it in community college because I was getting challenged.
Right.
In universities, they didn't care to challenge you. They were just like, it just felt like
pump out results.
And this is like the problem with school in general from my perspective and my standpoint and what I've seen. But it's like if you remember like any of the Mario Party games, they always have that one mini game where you like either have a cage and you have to just time your you drop the cage and you try and catch as many Goombas, or you take a snap, try and get as many like objects in that image as in one snap. That's pretty much how people. That's like how like it seems, and I can't speak because I'm not a teacher. I'm not like in the teaching, field.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how it seemed from my perspective, where it's just like, let's just take a snapshot. Okay, that's our teaching method. It's gonna work for everybody, and anybody who doesn't work for it, they're the ones who have the problem.
Right.
And I became a math tutor for a good year and a half. I learned almost instantly that, and I knew this because the owner of that math tutoring place was previously a teacher.
Yeah.
And she was like, she was like, I stopped being a teacher because the school systems were just so screwed over.
Yeah.
Right. In Arizona, they had this like whole it was almost like a prop. It was like a proposition. But same thing. It was like it's like Red for Ed or something like that. It was like trying to get teachers to get paid more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, that's why we had like shitty pool of teachers in a sense, because they weren't getting paid enough. No one wanted as passionate as you can be.
Yeah.
It's not worth the 30,000, 40,000, whatever less than standard or less than
like
the standard of living you're making, right?
Right. No, like that was so. When I was over at De Anza, I had that there are a few things. So like when I was over at De Anza, I had to take this class where basically they had us do a bunch of like research and like watch a bunch of videos on the American educational system, and they were talking about how the whole No Child Left Behind act or whatever. So basically, I can't remember when, but a good while ago, the American educational system went, we're falling behind in a lot of categories. So their solution to it was change the system in order to just pump out more numbers. So they just lowered the passing rate of classes. So instead of basically testing comprehension, they started testing how fast can you absorb knowledge and regurgitate it and get a
get a grade. That's why like no one's retaining anything anymore. It's because it's become a thing of like it's more of a it's yeah, exactly. It's more
all the standardized tests are basically.
Right.
I was gonna say it's more in the realm of passing and memorizing for test purposes and less for educational retention purposes.
Right.
And that's all flawed.
I think for like community college though, I don't know if all teachers have this mindset, but some of them probably are like, all right, these kids are here for a reason because they probably didn't do good in high school, and in order for like them to get out of those habits, we're gonna have to kick their ass, like not literally, but like figuratively.
It's a stepping stone.
I see it.
College,
you don't end in
like let's say you go to like a school like Berkeley, right?
Yeah.
Professors are probably like, oh, these kids are already smart, so they probably don't give you a good foundation even in your like freshman or sophomore year.
I mean,
except for those weirder classes, which you kick people in the ass.
But like here's my thing, right? I'm now at the point in college where like it's not the work or the what I have to learn that's kicking my ass. It's the fact that I have to do it for so long. Like it's like I just burn out faster than I used to when I was over at De Anza.
I honestly feel like for college, like the general education stuff is important just for people to have that knowledge.
Yeah.
But I feel like it shouldn't be 2 years worth. Like I feel like maybe it should be like your first semester you just make everyone take like 4 like general education classes.
Right, like a math, English, something like that. Yeah.
Like, all right, we're gonna have you take this one baby step, and then it's gonna be general stuff, and then after that you're done.
Right. I would have loved one semester at community college where genuinely they just focus on like they're not focused on me pumping out like results or grades, just somebody genuinely going like, we want to make sure you have the necessary tools to like organize your schedule and stick to a schedule to get all your work done in like an orderly manner, instead of what I am now where it's just like when is it due?
No,
not enough time.
Thing is for community college, that's the choice you're making. Right, for like university, especially like high schoolers, there's a lot of 4 years. 90% of the population in a 4 years is going to be 18-year-olds, people straight out of high school, or around that age.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those times, I guarantee you, half those kids probably don't even want to go through school. But for whatever obligation, whether it's because they owe it to their parents in their own heads, whatever the reason may be, they're there, right? When you're at community college, you're doing that because you want to. It's not because anyone's forcing you to do community.
Yeah.
Right? You are going there, right? You see anywhere from 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds. I've seen middle college is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen high schoolers in there.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen high schoolers. And on the other end of the scale, I've seen professionals who are literally working a career right now who are doing community college.
Right.
So like for that, I think as a teacher, or if I was, right, and that might be a field that I could pursue, right? Anybody can. But wouldn't you want to see the best success for those kinds of people who are like, I'm in it for this. Like, I'm not in this because my parents are telling me to do it, or I'm not in this because it's where the age of the students are going towards, right?
Right.
There's no other reason for you to come to community college except for you are coming to community college for you.
Listen, I do want people who do that to actually have the best sort of experience with community college, because I'm the opposite of that, right? Like I only went to college because my parents were like, you have no other choice. It's either college or you're homeless. Like that was how they pitched it to me. So I was like, okay, then I choose college. So I went to community college. De Anza was horrible and I hated it, and I'll never go back there for as long as I live. But now that I'm out of De Anza, the issue for me was when I was doing De Anza, I wasn't doing it out of like a place of curiosity or like wanting to learn. I was doing it out of a place of like, I need De Anza so I can transfer, so I can get a degree, right? But now I'm over at my college now, and I'm all like, you know what? High key, I don't want this. I want this now for not the same reason. No. I want this now because I have goals. I have goals that this college is going to help me attain. But other than that, I have no other reason to enjoy college. I have like things I'm interested in and things I want to learn and things that I just don't think I could learn on my own. And that's why I'm here now.
It's funny that you say that because I'm a little bit backwards on that. Like, because I went to De Anza too.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the opposite. I was like, okay, let's go to De Anza and let's see what's there for me. Instead of like, oh, let's just do it because it's a stepping stone. I'm like, let's see where I want this to go. And if you guys remember, or even if you don't, I took every different kind of class in De Anza.
Yep.
I was taking philosophy, I was taking sign language, I was taking history, like whatever looked interesting, I was like, let's try that. And then I still couldn't figure it out. I took that into my other community college that I went to in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Same thing. I was like, let's go take this mythology class. That sounds cool. Let's take this witchcraft class. What?
Right.
I didn't care. Once I got into 4-year, then it was like, I have to dial it in. Like I have to finally make a choice when I'm not ready to make a choice. Mm-hmm. And that was my fault because I kind of pushed myself in that direction because I felt that like antsiness of like I'm falling behind. Everyone's starting to graduate.
Right, like we were talking about last week, where it's like everybody was sprinting for so long that you're kind of like, oh, am I at the same pace as everybody else? No.
That was the funny thing. It's like for me, I was like, let's stretch first. Let's make sure I don't pull a hammy before I start this race.
Right.
And then like I stretched so long, and then once I got into the race, I fucking sprinted myself straight into the ground.
Nah, but it's better than not the same as me, but like very similar, because for me, right, I didn't stretch at all. I just came at it. I was all like, all right, computer science, let's get this. I know how to do this. And I hit the ground at every turn. Like I would have one good semester and then garbage semester. And then one good semester and then another garbage semester.
Would you rather like fall on your face while you're learning instead of like in the professional world?
Yeah, you're right. But when I got my taste of the professional world, I didn't fall on my face because it wasn't about like, oh, we need this perfect by the end of your internship, Kendall. And if you don't have this perfect, you're never gonna make it in the industry. Like they'll say to me over at like De Anza or anywhere else, right? When I got there, they were like, "Can you do this?" And I was like, "I've never done it before." And they were like, "Well, guess what, buddy? Like you're gonna get this and you're gonna figure it out." And I figured it out. I have no idea how. I have no idea why. But when I finally started working on it, when I finally got into the rhythm of it, it was like, oh, I get it now. It's nobody cares how I get it done. They just want me to get it done.
Yeah.
While over at Dianza, every single person was meticulous about how I got the work done.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's why I hated my physics teachers. I love physics now. Physics to me, I'm thinking, right? I'm not sure if I'm going to go with it, but like, I'm really interested in quantum computers right now.
You've been on a quantum computer hype since I came back.
Yeah, I love the idea of quantum computers. They're so fucking dope. But we're at this really early stage in quantum computing where it's like we're at the equivalent of a vacuum tube in quantum computing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, like quantum computers take up like literally two stories of a building.
So actually, so yes, good quantum computers take up a lot because of how they're built. They have smaller ones now. Elon Musk just released one a couple months ago.
That boy is doing everything.
But the main problem again with them is like they don't store data very well at all. But I'm not going to get into quantum computers because I'll go on about it for days. But now I'm interested in physics. When I was over at Dianza, I was like, if I ever meet another physics teacher for as long as I live, I'm gonna gut that bitch. Like,
well, that's the thing though too. Is like even I don't like getting into conversations with academia professionals because to me, coming from my background of not even graduating college, and dropping out and whatnot, there's always that like looming fact or looming thought, and it's happened before where it's like you're not qualified to speak on this behalf, and it's like that's not how that works though.
Yeah, that's dumb.
And that's again, I've found.
I feel like you're more qualified to speak on that than I, just because you're like this shit sucks.
I'm talking about like on their subject, right? Like for physics, right? If I'm going to talk to a physics professor, I already have, and this is my fault too with the thought process that my head goes to sometimes because I'm like, I'm already holding in that thought because it's happened before where I'm just like, they're going to already like bring in like credentials and reputability.
Right, yeah.
And it's like I've done like a lot of research and, I'm never certain on my research, but hey, these are some ideas I bring up. Mm-hmm. And most of the time it's usually invalidated because I have no background in anything.
That's what they'll try to tell you.
My background is a bartending.
Right. But here's my thing. I talk as a person who talks to a lot of engineers, right? And engineers are those people that are like, well, because I studied for so long and I understand STEM to such a level of degree that I can basically craft a planet if I felt like it, right? Watch me pull this piece of shit out of my ass and build a computer with it. Like when you talk to a lot of people like that, you start to realize they're full of shit.
Yeah, dude.
They're full of shit. If you don't have a background in something that does not in any respect, in any way, give anybody the right to invalidate what you already know, right? Like if you did your own research and this is what you've read, until you read something that you believe to be different or that disproves what you previously thought, nobody should be allowed to invalidate that. You should be able to find that out on your own.
Well, it's just about having civil discourse. You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to talk about things, I'm going to let you say what you have to say. Mm-hmm. And where I find fault, I'm going to call you out, and we can dispute that.
Right.
Right?
We can have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, exactly. It's discourse. It's not, oh, no, you're wrong because you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Let me find out why you don't know what you're talking about.
Like, if I need to bust out a whiteboard right now so you can prove that to me, fine.
Right.
But like if you're just gonna say, I have a degree in physics and you're just a bartender, then you're obviously you and I probably know the exact same amount. I'm just gonna assume that right off the bat because you're not willing to go an extra mile to show me.
And that's the thing, and we speak in very specifics here, and it's exaggerated. Like there's some exaggerations we're throwing out there, but at the same time, there's realities to it too. Right. You know what I mean? Like. That's always going to be the case, but it tends to happen.
But but like going back to the whole school thing though, right? It's still funny how like even with our specifics and how we're like, well, yeah, you're a bartender and I'm just this, college student or whatever, right? But like Slava's a doctor in physics, okay? And he showed up to my college and went, yeah, how he's doing this is completely correct physics. And the teacher still went, go fuck yourself. Like, what? He's like, I'm the physics teacher here. So what I say is correct is correct. And I was like, oh, I see it now. You're just sad.
Like it's really sad. It really is because it's almost like if you guys remember I mean, you were in psych. I don't know if you're in AP psych in high school, but the Philip Zimbardo,
I have no
the
nothing.
Stanford prison experiment.
Oh yes.
Like that is along the same parallels, right? Like
Yeah.
a person with authority and in power is going to exercise that power, and he's going to more often than not exercise it beyond their
scope,
limit. Yeah.
That's why I at least have more respect for like elementary, middle school, and high school teachers, because they're not about just like, oh, I have these degrees or I've been tenured for so long. They're more about like fostering curiosity, at least a good one.
I was just gonna say, I don't think I've ever had a high school and prior teacher tell me where they went to college. Or they did, like, but
if you're applying to colleges and they're talking to them about it, maybe.
No, again, that's very specific though. I'm talking about in class when I'm here. It was more, if anything, it would be like an introduction thing. They're like, oh yeah, I got my degree at Santa Clara, and it was never like they never waved it over your head.
Most of the people don't even talk about like where they used to work and stuff. Like we took this professor for Conroy. I can't even remember where he said he worked. Like I know he worked in the industry.
He just talked about his hobbies.
Yeah, but like he was like, I watch sports.
He just
whatever.
He did things with statistics.
Cocaine.
He was very into insurance.
You said cocaine though?
Comp prod?
Coding. Oh, I thought you said cocaine.
Codeine?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But what?
Like, those teachers I at least respect more because they're like most of the good ones.
I was just gonna say a story because I'm going on this like that goes with the Jack London thing where I want to read the book now and like actually fulfill that task I never did. So like if you remember in Comprog we had a final project where it was like feel free to do whatever you want, just make sure it's like it's a good final project. And a lot of people were doing simple shit. And for me, I was like, I like going above and beyond for some reason. I like fucking putting myself in such stupid positions where I'm like, it was senior year, right? It was last semester of senior year, and I'm like, I could really coast this project.
Right.
But no, this I was like,
you could take your foot off the gas. And
hardly knowing Java, we had a kid who was a freshman who we were like kind of mooching our answers off of, and my dumbass went, I want to code Space Invaders. I want to code a video game. I did not get it going. I did not have anything down. And the deadline was like the next day, and I sent him what I had, and I sent him an email attached to it, and he went, it's not working. I tried to do my best. I need a C to pass, or else I won't be.
Even I did the same shit. I did that shit to like 2 other teachers.
And I'm like, or else I won't walk, and this will be a problem. And I felt terrible because I loved the dude, and I hated to do that because I felt like I was compromising his integrity, and I was compromising my own. So like, I'm gonna take it upon myself to try and rework that and actually get a working Space Invaders. It's gonna happen later, but like that's part of like my goals.
See, like that's why I love how so many people. Here's the thing with programming, right? As a computer science major, I've noticed that a lot of people are actually very interested in the major. They're not interested in the bullshit people go through to get good at that major.
No, I mean it's with everything though, right?
Right.
That's what makes like a professional sports athlete. I love playing basketball. I play it every Sunday. You don't see me dribbling around cones, pretending like there's a fucking 6'6" guard trying to block shot.
You're not trying to go NBA.
Trying to
you're just
stop my shots.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, because lately I have been doing a little bit of that because I fucking hate not being good enough on Sundays. But yeah, but at the same time, like I am not literally going with a coach who has like those fucking wands that are like in your face trying to hit you while you're trying to dribble around fucking cones and doing a bunch of drills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same thing with coding, right? It's almost just getting drilled, but not getting drilled. It's going through a lot of drilling though, right?
Yeah.
But it's just with a different process of coding, and that's
But what I'll say is this: if you are interested in any sort of like program you could possibly build, your best bet is to genuinely just program it yourself on your spare time. Like I mean that, because like.
But I feel like that's anything, right? If you like art, you just gotta work on it on your own time.
Right.
If you sit in the classroom, like it might teach you the fundamentals, but that repetition you gotta do.
Right.
And that's the beauty of classes, and that's why I've always loved intro classes because it's introducing me to everything, right? And then that's mainly where I've been with college. Was like I just took a ton of intro classes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me get my foot through the door, see what this is all about. I'm not about it. All right, cool. I got to at least understand where they come from.
Yeah.
You know, and oh, dude, that's pretty sick. Now I don't really have to take the classes. I mean, I can if I want, but at the same
Right.
time, I could fucking look up the shit I learned in the intro class and go, oh, my own research. Amazing.
Yeah. Like what? So like, because for your Space Invaders thing, right? Like that sounds super interesting. I actually tried learning video game programming a while back, right? Because there is this cool little website you could go to, and it would basically have pre-built video games, but that had issues in them, right? Like there's this one game where you were supposed to do sort of like a Space Invaders thing, but they just go side to side in their spaceships. When you start programming it, all it does is you can't move the little slider that's supposed to fire, and the ship just hits the wall and then the thing crashes, right? So it was like, fix the code. Now, when I initially tried it, I had no idea what the language even was.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this even? I had no Java experience. So I was looking at it. I was like, this is insane. I have no idea how to do this. Going back, I could probably fix it. But like now, I'm just interested in bigger things. You know what I mean?
That was that was the funny thing too, is I was so bad at comp prog and that at that time, and I was so just like senioritis about it
Mm-hmm.
that I did try and code it myself, and I got a good amount of progress on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I lost every inch of that progress was when I was just like, let's just see if someone else did it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go to see
Yeah.
StackFlow,
Yeah.
Stack Overflow, whatever that website is.
Jag, whatever. Yeah.
And let's see if they already have it. And I was like, oh, look, someone did it. And I copied and pasted it, and I guess I tossed my old one away. Or I incorporated it into the one I had, and it just ruined everything. And I was like, here's my mess. I fucked up.
Yeah.
Please salvage what you can for me and give me what you deserve.
Right.
Preferably like something that'll get my grade to be not failing.
Like you're hoping like they'll look at it and go, he applied. He
That's
applied
literally it.
what
I
we
was like-
learned, but like
I want him to grade it on the effort.
yeah. like with my midterm the couple weeks ago, like it was like if you look at it, you'll see that we applied a lot of the principles you tried to teach in class.
Right.
It just doesn't run.
Yeah.
But like that's just here. But at the end of the day, it's the fact that you're still curious about trying to get it done
Oh yeah.
that really matters.
I
'Cause-
think school though, like there's two issues. Like the one being they don't pose subjects in the way that people find interesting. Like let's say everyone like goes, or like most kids like grow up doing like Legos or like the Bionicles or whatever.
Mhm.
Lincoln Logs.
Yep.
Or no one poses it as, oh, this is like engineering on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Say this is just you being a kid.
You're right. Yeah.
But if you would pose it like, oh, this is engineering on a smaller scale, then people might be like, oh, let me try that. Because you're not thinking about, oh, I have to be hella good at math. You're just thinking, I like building shit and I like to be hands on.
No. That was the whole thing with my what was it when I took engineering 101 at De Anza. That one course, it was like barely worth any credits. It was like I didn't even need to take it. It was just this course that like I was taking because I could. When I took that class, it changed my whole perspective on my major. Because like the guy showed up and he was like, "Listen,
Who is the guy?
I can't remember the guy. He was this white guy.
Was his name Tom?
I think so.
Because he's I think he's the intro engineering teacher for like the whole Bay Area's community colleges. Because I took him in West Valley. Fucking the coolest fucking teacher ever, dude.
Right.
He was not a genius. He didn't portray himself as one. And he, like I said, at a certain point, he was like learning as you were learning. Because again, he took the broadest scale of engineering and was like, let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mechanical engineer, but let's do some architectural engineering. And you're
Right.
like, all right, cool. Let's see what you got. And he's like, hold on, give me 1 sec. Okay, I think we got it. And he would ask the students, he's like, do you guys think you know how to? Because he didn't know either sometimes. Because
Right.
it was just like, again, engineering is such a broad ass topic.
Right. And everybody has to narrow it down to what they're good at.
But he was
right?
same thing. Like half a credit, like not even worth taking. You didn't even need to take it.
Mm-hmm.
But they recommended it. And again, same thing. I was
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
wow. Like, what an amazing course.
I took that course and I like when I was initially taking these classes, I was like, oh, all right, have the project done, whatever I got to do it, like check it, ask my fellow students, figure it out so I can submit something and just get my grade. I took that course and I was like, nah, I'm gonna learn how to program, and now I can.
And
But, like-
what the beauty of that course was too is he was like not opposed. I don't think he cared if you used Chegg or not, but he was never opposed to you working with other students.
Yeah.
Because he was like, engineering's a team it's a team sport.
Yeah, it's a team effort. Yeah.
So if you guys aren't collaborating with each other, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
You know, I would have more problems with you guys if you did this all on your own and you didn't like reach out to other students. And I was like, this guy's fucking on point and awesome because he's taking this concept and he's like, this is what the real world of it's going to look like. You're not going to be doing this by yourself. It's going to be a team effort. Like, fucking get that going now. Get that through your head now.
Right.
And I was like, I fuck with this guy. I fucks with this guy a lot.
Right. Like, honestly, that class, again, like I said, it changed the way I saw my major from that point on.
It changed the way I understood engineering from that point. Because when I heard engineering, I was like, I don't even know what that word kind of means sometimes. It's so broad, and they use it in everything. You can be a chemical engineer. You can be a computer engineer. You can be a mechanical engineer. You can be an architectural engineer.
And then you realize it's just their way of saying a problem solver.
Yes. Literally, once he said that, he's like, engineering's just a fancy way of calling yourself a problem solver. I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
I was like, right when he said that clicked. I'm like, I'm just an engineer all the time.
You're right. Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to be like, I'm a professional engineer. And I'm just but like, I just love solving problems. That's just my favorite thing to do.
Right. It's like you don't need to have like everybody. They tell you so much. They tell you it so differently when you're like looking outside in, right? Where they're just like, yeah, engineers are the future, right? Like, by the way, engineers are idiots every way you slice it, right? You ask an engineer any question, like a genuine engineer any question, I could ask you any question. You would have a simple answer for me, like right off the bat, and then we would then go on and look more into it and say, you would come back and be like, actually, I looked into it. This is a better way to do that, right?
Yeah.
Engineers, you ask them any question, they'll be on the tech before they even get to the answer. They'll start looking at technicalities of like everything, and then they'll go, well, technically, this is the best way to do it.
Right. But I was gonna say once he opened my eyes to that like idea of problem solving, I was just like, you don't even have to be smart to be an engineer.
You just
to be honest,
yeah.
You just have to understand. You just have to be a critical thinker. You just have to know how to. It's one of those things where it's like, do you know how to do this? And it's like, no, but let me figure this. Let me figure out a way to get myself there.
Right. Yeah.
Let me problem solve myself to that question real quick.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. I gotta work through prior questions before I can get to that one, but let me get there real quick.
Right. I'm like,
awesome, dude.
I'm like, yeah, like now I'm just at the point in engineering where I actually only have two problems when it comes to engineering. One is I don't understand the idea, not engineering, but like programming. I don't really get the concept of recursion. I get really confused when it comes to recursion. Do you know what recursion is?
I've heard of the concept, but
it's like
you'd have to,
it's like I want to eat this bagel, right? But before I can finish the bagel, right, I have to break down the bagel into its bites. So every time I take a bite, I call another function that says take another bite of the bagel, take another bite of the bagel. Once the bagel is fully done, then it returns all the values. So you'll just keep calling the same function within itself again and again and again until everything is done, and then it will be like, here's your answer. I struggle with that idea so hard. I mean, that was even a really bad example of the idea. The second thing is pointers, but I get that better than recursion. But like now I used to look at that and be like, oh, no way, no how. Now I'm like, no, let me just figure it out real quick. Like, let me just take a moment and just problem solve for like 10 seconds to see if I can figure it out. And it changed my level of work just shot up when I started doing it that way. When it stopped becoming like a matter of end product and more a matter of like, can I solve this in my own way?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was the thing too, is like, and again, this goes back to the engineering class, was he would bring in like current engineers of different fields and they would tell you about it. And it became a thing of just like, this ain't that difficult, is it? Because like, he brought up mechanical engineering, and they were working on like better aerodynamics for plane wing designs.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, so you're gonna take this basic ass physics equation that you've learned in physics 1 with mechanics, that does
with the
with
the
force
kinematic
and everything like
equations,
that. And he's like, and all you're doing is just what you're doing in physics, but now you're taking it to application. That's
Mhm.
literally all you're doing. And I was just like, easy.
right,
I was like, all you gotta do is just think a little bit.
right. Now, everything is easy to me except for one course.
It's really just a matter of doing the work.
Yeah, it's just a matter of doing the work. Like I can do it. I know I can do it. It's easy once I figure it out.
I was gonna say, when someone talks to you about it, you're never just like, huh?
Right.
Right, for me, I'm just like, I'm like, okay, I could see how he's making those jumps. I see how he got there. I got it.
Right. I think another thing that a school should be doing more often than not, and that they just don't do, is having older students explain concepts to younger students. I know that's basically tutoring, but like,
no, but I mean, it's something though.
But like, yeah, because
I've seen situations where some teachers will be like, okay, you're gonna read like a lecture for this week, and like this group is gonna teach it to the class. And sometimes
I'm not a huge fan of those.
Sometimes people like take it seriously, sometimes they don't. So
my thing, no,
but
but
the thing
what
is,
I mean
it's forced, so like students aren't even like entailed to listen to it because it's so forced. And let me get to this point, because our teacher in Comprog in high school was also my stats teacher, my AP stats teacher. Fucking genius. He was a genius, but he was an idiot at the same time, and this is why. He was not able to get his thoughts across. He was so fucking smart that he couldn't dumb it down enough for people like me at the time who couldn't figure out what big words he was using.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a dictionary. I could have a dictionary next to me, and I could be like, oh, that's what that means. And I'd still be lost, because he was just like the intelligence gap in terms of teaching me was just so large. And I wasn't the only one. It was just like, it was a testament to how smart this guy was. But at the same time, it was such a problem, because a lot of people failed his classes because he just couldn't get his learning methods through. Everyone who was like borderline genius in high school, who had like 4.0s and crushed their fucking nuts to get good grades,
Right.
fucking understood what he was speaking. But everyone else who was average Joe me fucking had no clue.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's cool, because like for me now, the only reason I could, and I mean this, the only reason why I can even say I'm as good at programming as I am is because when I work with programs, Cassie wants to help me out. But the thing is, Cassie doesn't know programming to the same extent as I do. But her weird thing is she can distinguish patterns way better than me. So when I was working on this project, I was looking at this like chart of like how the data's supposed to be organized and set up at the end result. And I was like, I have no idea how you even get this. Like, what is the pattern? What's the math around this? I have no idea. And Cassie just looked at it for like 5 minutes and then went, oh, so like so this scale goes here, and so that's why it goes down there. And then just differentiate the pattern. The problem was she had the pattern in her brain and like knew how to get that result. I didn't know. She couldn't explain it to me, but I knew how to program it if I knew the pattern. So that's why now I'm better at it, because we can communicate what we both are better at together.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about, because this was in Arizona. I took calc probably like 4 times now, 4 different occasions.
Yep, same.
I took it at De Anza. I took it in high school. I took it at De Anza. I took it in Arizona, and I took it at ASU. I took it at community college in Arizona. I took it at ASU. So my community college in Arizona, I took calc honors. And what we had to do for that honors credit was we had to get into a group outside of class in a study room for an hour, and we had to go through these challenge problems. And then any extra time, we can work on like anything else, or like we could have fucked around for all we care.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it was, is like the challenge problems challenged us. And then it got us into this mode of like, let's keep this going. Let's fucking see what we can do with this.
Right.
So we would do that. And it was so amazing, because we didn't have to teach other students about it, in the sense of like how you were talking about, how it's like, okay, let's bring this subject that the teacher wants us to learn and try and teach it to other students. I never thought that was smart, because I'm not sure whether I knew it or not either. Yeah. But like when I was in this small study room, I didn't have to have that. It was literally it just felt like a bunch of fucking nerds. Because we were all a little nerdy.
Yeah.
I chose that group. And I fucking loved it, because we were all just like fucking like those, like, it was all just like Channing Tatum from like 21 Jump Street. We were like, 4, 4, 4, 4. We were all like that, dude. We were just all like, no, it's not this. Like, look, change this and make it that. And everything would just start clicking in people's heads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, no. Like, let's let's put a parentheses around this. Let's take that out of the equation, and let's take a common denominator out of this, and now look at the equation. We're like, oh shit, and all of us would get smarter for it, and it was crazy. And it was like the teacher didn't do anything but just tell us to go into this like study group for an hour once a week.
Right.
And it went from once a week to like, yo, let's just do this after every class because it's making us fucking geniuses. My whole group fucking didn't even have to take the final because of the way our math finals were set up, or our math tests were set up. It was like a congregate thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you can get one section done, you didn't have to do it the next time.
Yeah.
If you can get two sections, like if you got section 1 done in this like cumulative test, you didn't have to do it again ever because you have it now.
Yeah.
And so all 5 of the kids in my class or in my study group didn't even have to show up to the final because we aced it before we even got to the final.
Yeah.
No other student had that. We were just like, it was that much, It was like, and the teacher didn't do much besides, teach what had to be taught. But we took that and we were like, let's fucking become crazy with it.
Right. See, I don't have that drive like you do, as we've discussed earlier. Because like I would love to meet like the last time I ever had a group of college students where we all came together and went, you want to fucking crush this? And everybody went, fuck yeah, we want to crush this. Was at De Anza. And it was for one class, and everybody except me in that group passed that class.
Of course.
And so I was like, oh, okay. But then after that, I love that group because we came together and we were like, so how do we want to do this? And at the time, I was this lazy fuck, and I was just like, just assign me my job. I'll get my job done. I'll make sure it runs, whatever.
Mm.
But now I'm at this point where I was just like, if I could just find a really nice group that we could sit down and like crush projects together, we would fucking crush projects together.
Yeah.
Like, we would destroy them.
I mean, I still carry that because when I came back here, I was like, let's crush this podcast.
Right.
Let's crush a couple projects I have in my mind.
Right.
And I'm still on that hype, but at the same time, I've had other priorities.
Right. Priorities always struggle. I always struggle.
I think the last thing I wanted to say is a lot of teachers, like, when you're younger, most people are curious about different things, but I feel like a lot of teachers set up their classes or subjects in a way where it kills that curiosity.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Like, if you would just foster it instead of killing it, we'd get so much further in life.
Yeah. I said,
people would be way more interested in things.
Yeah.
Especially, like, math is the easiest one because if you guys remember math in high school, elementary school, it was just numbers, which
and everyone would ask the same question: how does this apply to the real world? Teachers would never give you an answer.
Right.
No, ever.
Even if they did, it was never like a good answer. It was a bullshit answer.
But that was the thing is, as a math tutor, when I was a math tutor in Arizona, again, I was teaching kids from anywhere from kindergarten to like high school calculus. And that was the thing was like, I took it upon myself because I was like, why do I have to teach this to them?
Yeah.
Why do I care enough to have to make them care? And so I took like literally 10 minutes out of each student's time to be like, let's go over why mathematics or where mathematics can be used, why it should be used, and why this particular mathematics is important.
Right. No, like genuinely, I wish now I paid more attention in math because now I'm understanding why so many like the quadratic formula. That bullshit. That when I first learned it, I was like, this is fucking dumb. It's because you have 2 unknown variables in your equation. You have to do a whole ass quadratic formula. I'm never gonna need to. Or how does that work?
Is it with negative b squared plus or minus the square root of 4?
It's how you if you have like if you have 2 unknown variables in your equation.
Well, it's like it's like if you can't simplify it, then you have to throw into the quadratics
formula,
and it won't give you. It'll give you a real number, just not a smooth, clean number.
Yeah,
a whole number.
It'll give you like this weird like digit sort of deal, but you can plug that in to find all the other values. But
it'll give you a finite answer or a definite answer, but at the same time, it's nothing like a 5 or a 6.
Right. It's always going to be like 6.246989 whatever.
And continuously ongoing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But like now I'm at this level in physics where like knowing the quadratic formula is crucial.
That happens, and it's always so funny because I think 90% of again, I've been in a couple of physics classes too, or repetitive physics classes. And it's always a thing where the teacher's like, you guys got to use the quadratic formula. And everyone will be like, ooh.
Can you plug my phone up? I need to charge my phone. Sorry.
Everyone, yeah. they'd be like, okay, for this one, I'm sorry, because they'd be like, oh, it's not as simple as you think because we have to use the quadratic formula, and I'll see everyone scratch their heads and be like, what was that again?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, wait, this shit's important.
Yeah, it's so important. They should and going back to what Vanille said, right? Fostering curiosity is also super important. So if you can foster that curiosity and then apply what you're trying to teach these students, they'll take that and go, "Oh my god, yeah, I'll hold on to this. I'll hold on to this little tidbit of knowledge because guess what? I'm going to use it when I finally get to figuring out the answers to the universe."
Well, here's a great thing because to tie in with that,
You can't find a plug.
oh, lightning cable.
You don't have to do it right now. Just because I'm going to go see a movie later, so my tickets are on there.
Oh, I can get it right now.
No. Let's just finish this real quick.
But as I was saying, like the curiosity thing. I have my daytime bar manager. He's been a bartender probably longer than we've been alive. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But that says something about his age as well.
Yeah.
This guy was a history buff. And I talk to him on a regular basis. I love the guy. We have such interesting conversations because he's got that intellectualness to him.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it's always when he's drunk or when he's like intoxicated, inebriated. He'll just be like, I wish I got into numbers more. This fool is, like I said, he has been a bartender longer than we've been alive. And this guy is like, I want to get into numbers.
Yeah.
Like, what? I was like, where's this coming from, dude? You should be like towards retirement right now and you're trying to get into intellectual again?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Like,
Why
there's
not?
something about numbers. Like, it's important. It's universal. I'm like, now you've gotten me, who's already a number file,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who already loves numbers, wanting to get into numbers even further. And I didn't even think that was possible.
I'm the opposite.
Now I'm like, and it's gotten to a point where I think my parents and brother and family and anybody around me could vouch. I am very consumed by numbers sometimes.
Oh, I know.
And
Yeah,
it's gotten to a
definitely.
very high
100%.
pedigree.
100%. If I put an equation or any sort of like number-esque like challenge in front of you, you will work at it. You may not solve it like on the instant, but you'll be like, let me take a picture.
You know,
And I'll figure it
could
out.
do as simple as this. You could take a blank sheet of paper, or you could take a computer and just with a number pad and just go like this for as long as you want to fill the page,
Yeah.
and just put it in front of me, and I will fucking make something of it, and I'll just be like, oh,
Right.
you know what I mean?
You'll-
Like, I
you'll
just get
try
so
to
crazy
apply.
about it. I'm like, where are the patterns? Is there a pattern? Like,
Right.
What can I make of these? Let's add up all the digits. Let's see. I just get crazy with it sometimes, and like I'm like, I love this guy because, again, same thing. He comes from this world of not knowing mathematics, and that's our disconnect. Because I could talk to him about history all day long,
Yeah.
and he'll have my ass in history all day long, but at the same time, I could keep up with that conversation.
Yeah.
I'll throw in physics and mathematics, and he's the same way where he's like, he tries to hang in, but he's like, I can understand what you're saying, but because I don't have that math background, I'm not there. It's not clicking. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, dude, once it does, you and I are about to go fucking off all the fucking time to the point where we're going to annoy each other
Yeah.
to a loving degree of being
like-
intellectuals.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I love.
That's
That's what I see.
Like again, like for me now, I recognize that as such a beautiful thing. You don't find that very often. You don't find people that are just like willing to, because my thing is over at college now. When I talk to other students, they're not here for me to basically bullshit what I think I know and then go, oh, well, actually, from what I know and from what you have just said, this is actually a better way of thinking about that because this will then make more logical sense. But when I'm here and I'm talking to you and we're talking about whatever the fuck we feel like talking about, you and I, we will bounce. It's like, you know when you have like a bunch of rocks and you want to like see the crystal inside the rocks, so you put them in the rock shaker
Oh,
thing.
like a tumbler, yeah.
Yeah, like a tumbler. It's like refining a thought down to like
Yeah.
a really interesting like form, and then you go, we could use this.
You know, I've had this is like such a weird dream that I've always wanted to have. And I think Vanille, you would know this too, because we had two professors in high school. One of them was a history teacher, Foy, and the other one was an English teacher.
Oh, okay.
And those two would hang out all the fucking time, and their conversations were so rapid because they were both very fast speakers. Like they would stumble over their own words because like their thoughts were going so fast, their mouths couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And you would just like be around that, and you would just be lost. In like for me, I was lost in awe because I was just like, holy shit, these guys are going off on everything and anything under the sun. And I was just like, that's what I want. Like there's that scene from Rick and Morty, if you remember, it's in season 4 when the train episode.
Yeah.
Where like they like warp out of the like the subspace or the
storyline that they're like
and he's shooting pool.
Yeah.
And they're like talking about science. I want that so bad, dude. Where like I just hanging around a bar and it's not this bullshit superficial conversation. It's like we're hanging out, shooting pool, hanging by the bar, and we're just having intellectual conversations that are getting to the point where we're breaking barriers of like educational, intellectual barriers all day long.
Where you're just like you're actually learning, but not like in this weird sense of like sit down, read, and learn. Like it's just like this man's talking mad facts out here, and I'm for it.
It's the point. It's gotten to the point where it's like, or it's to that degree too, where it's like I would. And again, this is just the dream that I want. And it's such a small little dream, but it's just like where I don't want to leave that bar area. It's got to be a bar because a bar is always like a chill experience, but it's got to be a bar. And like I don't want to leave because of the conversation, but the moment I do, I'm gonna be on that fucking computer or in the books, just fucking waiting for like another fucking thing to go the fuck off on.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I want. So if I can find someone who's gonna fucking do that for me, I'll see you at the bars. Let's go get some pool done.
I mean, listen. Once we finally figure this shit out, because the summer is about to hit, I got a job. I'm gonna help you out on some projects if you want, and we'll let's go hit up a bar. Let's talk about some projects sometime.
Let's be those guys.
But in the meantime, this has been your boy Waffles
and your boy Maui,
and this is Couch Surfing.
Peace.